Have you ever sat in a room full of people and felt completely alone? Not because no one was talking to you, but because no one was saying anything real. You're listening to the conversation, and something inside you quietly asks, "Is this it?" You smile, you nod, you play along. But deep down, you're somewhere else entirely. If that feeling is familiar, this video was made for you. Most people will never stop long enough to question the way they think. They move through life on autopilot, following the same patterns, having the same conversations, chasing the same things everyone else is chasing. And then there are people like you, people who can't seem to turn their mind off, people who feel things more deeply than they can explain, people who have always sensed, even from a young age, that they see the world a little differently. That difference is not a flaw. It never was. But the world doesn't always make that easy to believe. You've probably been called too sensitive, or too serious, or too much in your head. And maybe a part of you started to wonder, what's wrong with me? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. What's happening is something far more interesting. Your mind works differently. It processes deeper. It questions louder. It feels longer. And today, I want to show you exactly what that looks like. Not to put a label on you, but to help you finally feel seen. You ask why. When everyone else accepts. What? Most people are satisfied with the surface of things. They see what's happening and they move on. But you can't do that. You never could. Picture this. Someone tells you a piece of news, something most people would hear and forget. But your mind immediately starts pulling on threads. Why did that happen? What caused it? What does it mean? You're still thinking about it hours later, while everyone else has already moved on to the next thing. Psychologists call this a need for cognitive closure, or in some people, the complete absence of that need. Most minds want answers quickly so they can feel settled. Your mind is comfortable sitting in the question. It doesn't rush to a conclusion. It wants to understand. That's not overthinking. That's depth. And depth is rare. You feel the weight of things. Others barely notice. A stranger's expression, a shift in someone's tone, a moment of silence that lasted just a second too long. You noticed all of it. You're at a gathering and everything looks fine from the outside. People are laughing, music is playing. But you can sense that something is slightly off between two people in the room. No one else sees it. But you do. This is connected to what researchers call high perceptual sensitivity. Your nervous system picks up on subtleties that most people's brains filter out as irrelevant. You're not imagining things. You're not paranoid. Your brain is simply processing more of the world around you. That's a gift, even when it feels like a burden. You carry the weight of things others don't even feel. Shallow conversations drain you. Everyone else seems perfectly happy talking about the weather, or what they watched last night, or who said what to whom, and you sit there, smiling on the outside, slowly dying on the inside. You've been in conversations that felt like they lasted forever, but said absolutely nothing. You walked away more exhausted than when you arrived, not because you're antisocial, but because your mind was starving the entire time. There's a concept in psychology called need for cognition. The degree to which a person enjoys thinking deeply and engaging with complex ideas. People with a high need for cognition feel genuinely depleted by surface-level interaction. It's not rudeness, it's not arrogance, it's that your mind needs substance the way your body needs food. Small talk doesn't feed you, and that's perfectly okay. You process emotions long after the moment has passed. Something happens, everyone reacts in the moment. You react later, alone, in the quiet. That's when it actually hits you. You've been in an argument that ended hours ago. Everyone else has moved on, laughed it off, gone to sleep. But you're lying in the dark, replaying every word, feeling the full weight of it now. Not because you're weak, but because your emotional processing is thorough. This is linked to something called delayed emotional processing, common in people with rich inner lives. Your brain doesn't skim emotions, it examines them. It holds them up to the light and looks at every angle. That's why your hurt goes deeper, but your empathy does too. You feel everything twice, once in the moment and once when you're finally still. That second time is where your real self lives. You see, patterns that others miss. Your mind connects things. A conversation you had 3 years ago suddenly makes sense in light of something that just happened. You see the thread before anyone else sees the needle. You're sitting with a group and someone tells a story. Everyone laughs and moves on. But you're quietly noticing. This is the third time this same situation has come up in different forms. You're reading the pattern beneath the pattern. Psychologists call this systems thinking, the ability to see relationships between ideas, events, and behaviors over time. It's a trait found in some of the world's most creative and insightful people. Your brain is constantly mapping, connecting, weaving invisible threads. Sometimes it's overwhelming, but other times it gives you a clarity that other people simply don't have access to. You see the whole picture, even when you're only shown a piece. You've always felt slightly out of step with your age. Not older exactly, not younger, just different. Like you were born already knowing something, or like the things that excite others have never quite excited you the same way. As a child, maybe you preferred talking to adults rather than kids your age. Later, maybe you found yourself drawn to books, ideas, and questions that your peers had no interest in. You never felt exactly against your generation, just not fully in it either. This phenomenon has been studied in people with what's called asynchronous development, where certain parts of the mind grow faster or in different directions than what's considered typical. Your emotional depth, your curiosity, your awareness, they were all running ahead of schedule. That gap between you and the world around you isn't a sign that something is wrong. It's a sign that you were always meant to walk a slightly different path. And slowly, you're learning to be okay with that. Your intuition speaks, and you've learned to listen. Most people make decisions with logic, lists, pros and cons. What makes sense on paper? But you have a different compass. You've walked into a situation that looked perfect on the outside. New job, new relationship, new opportunity. Everything checked out logically. But something in your gut said no. And when you ignored it, you always regretted it. Intuition isn't mystical. It's not magic. Neuroscientists now understand it as the brain's ability to draw on vast amounts of stored experience and pattern recognition, below the level of conscious thought. Your gut knows things because your mind has been quietly watching, learning, and processing for years. The difference is, you've learned to trust that signal. Most people override it. You've learned to follow it, and that quiet inner voice has never really led you wrong. When you listen to it, you come home to yourself. If you recognized yourself in any of these signs, I want you to sit with something for a moment. Being different is not a mistake. It was never a mistake. You were not built for the same path as everyone else. And that's not a consolation prize. That is the whole point. The world will always have plenty of people who go along, who agree without questioning, who feel without examining, who live on the surface of things. What the world has far fewer of is people like you. People who feel deeply, think clearly, and carry a quiet complexity that most people will never understand. You've probably spent a long time trying to explain yourself, trying to fit, trying to be smaller, trying to make sense to people who were never going to see what you see. Let that go. Not with bitterness, but with peace. You don't need to be understood by everyone. You just need to understand yourself. And the fact that you're here, watching this, searching, asking questions about your own mind, that already tells me something about you. You are not done growing. You are not lost. You are in the middle of becoming something most people never become. Awake. And that is everything. If this felt like something you needed to hear today, share it with someone who you think might need it too. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do for someone is help them feel less alone. And if you want more content like this, you know where to find it. I'll see you in the next one.